Hi guys, this is Andrew from the KNM channel. Today we're gonna look at some tips that could help you manage your first credit card. The first card is always important because that would set you for a strong financial future. Because anyone who lends you money throughout your life, whether it's a credit card company or someone giving you a loan, they want to see how you handle your credit. And one way to create a history is to start with a credit card. And I'm sure that some of the viewers are planning to get a credit card, or some has just turned 18 or turning 18 soon and are looking for a credit card soon. So at this time, well, a credit card is a privilege here. That's the most important thing to understand, because it can easily be abused, and if abused, that's gonna have a serious impact on your credit portfolio. So before we get started, there are a few things that are actually important to consider before applying for a credit card. So the first thing here is the type of credit card, because you have different types. Like it could be a secured credit card, for example, which require a deposit to open, while student credit cards are geared toward college crowd, but they may require a co-signer if you are less than 21 years of age and you don't have any significant income. So knowing the differences between each card type can help you narrow your choices. Point number two, don't go crazy with your applications. Once you get your first credit card, it's tempting to go out and apply for another one. You shouldn't rush to overload your wallet though. Applying for multiple credit cards offered within a relatively short time frame can hurt your credit score. Getting one card with a lower limit can actually help you building your credit, which is a more healthier way than just rushing and applying um, for any number of credit cards randomly, and that could actually risk in ending up in debt. Number three, understand the reason to have a good credit card. Well, a good credit more specifically, because your credit report contains all the information relating to your credit activity, including your accounts that you've opened, your balances, and your payment history. Your credit score is a three-digit number that's calculated based on what's in your report. So based when it's time to buy a car or a mortgage, then banks are going to look at your credit history to look how likely you're to pay back what you've borrowed. So they will use this research to determine how much they should charge you in interest rate, and whether you should lend they should lend you anything at all. Your credit score can also come into play when you're trying to rent an apartment, get utilities in your name, or even applying for a job. But that's somehow rare, but it still happens. Number four, get to know your credit score. There are several different credit scoring models out there, but the one lenders often use is your FICO score. This score is calculated based on your payment history, the number of inquiries that show up on your report, the type of credit you have, how much you owe, and how old your accounts are. FICO score ranges from 300 to 850, and the higher the better you are. Number five, monitor your credit. Routinely reviewing your credit report can give you an idea of how well you are doing when it comes to building your score. It also allows you to keep an eye on any sign of suspicious activity relating to identity theft, because under the federal law, you're entitled to one free credit report each year from TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, which are three major credit reporting bureaus. Number 6, making payments on time. This is a priority here. How you pay your bills accounts for the biggest chunk of your FICO store. I'm sorry. Racking up late or missing payments won't do any favor actually. So you don't have to fall behind the due date, and take your time to sit down and work out a budget, making it easier to map out when your bills are due. Your budget should list all your expenses and any income you have, whether it's from a job or a financial support for that your parents provide you. Mhm. You also have to track the dates on a calendar, so you don't miss any payments, because most of the people, they ruin their credit report because of late payments, because late payments easily affects your FICO score. And yeah, so and you don't need to miss 10 payments. A few, like 2 or 3 payments, is more than enough to get you into a red zone. Number 7, keep your balances in check. So ideally, you should be charging only when you can afford to pay off in full each month. So that way you won't end up having to fork over any extra for interest. If you do carry a balance from month to month, yeah, the best bet here is to keep it as low as possible. Your minimum payment is calculated as a percentage of your total balance. So if you owe a lot, you may find yourself struggling to keep up each month. So uh, if you are planning to use your credit card, then make sure that you're able to fully pay it back, because the minimum payment here is not going to help you out. Because for example, if you buy something for $1,000 and you make a minimum payment of $20 or $30 every month, that's going to take you years and years to pay it back. So, and in the end, you're going to end up paying more than $2,000 in interest for the amount of $1,000 that you've borrowed. So efficiently, it's very poor. And on the other side, you're losing on your side, and also your reputation in the finance world is also not quite good. So it's always good to keep an eye on your balance. Number 8, calculate the cost. The biggest trap that many students fall when it comes to their first credit card is not realizing how interest adds up, especially when they are only paying the minimum each month. Well, if you pay a minimum of $25 a month, it would take you over 9 years to pay back around $1,000 that you've borrowed. So here again, another $1,000 in interest. So to borrow $1,000, it would cost you another $1,000 if you only pay minimum payment every month. So buying items that you can't afford to pay off in short amount of time suddenly becomes a lot less appealing when you do the math. Number 9, cut down on fees. So credit card companies charge a number of fees that can quickly inflate your balance if you're not staying on top of your statements and due dates. So paying your bills on time and keeping your balance low can help you avoid late or over limit fees. And students should also look for cards that don't charge any annual fees to keep their cost as low as possible. Number 10, review your statement. So if you're not looking closely at your credit card statement each month, you're potentially setting yourself up for big problems. Your credit card company should jack up your interest rate, and or someone could be using your card to make fraudulent charges, but you won't know unless you are reviewing your statement uh, every month before making any payments, because this way you can have an idea of what is going on. Because if you simply pay over every time, and well, maybe you're gonna realize it one day and it would be too late to recover your loss. So number 11, now number 11, choose purchases wisely. So when you're broke, it's tempting to use your credit card. So when you don't have any cash on your own, it's very tempting to use your credit card. But you need to be selective about when you're charging. Keep the lights in your apartment, or buying those annoying but necessary textbooks are reasonable enough, but you shouldn't rely on plastic to pay for all those late night pizza runs, or pasta in a pot is a lot cheaper. So yeah, the moral of the story here is, don't spend on luxury items, unnecessary things, because a credit card is just a temporary solution until you get your next paycheck. So until then, yeah, you could use your credit card, but wisely. Don't spend on anything like on a late night lunch or dinner, or so if you could do yourself a favor, well, it would be to restrict yourself from those luxury spending until your next check or parents contribution comes in. So this moves to number 12. Before you sign up for a membership or subscription, credit cards can make life easy. You can charge your favorite magazine to a credit, or sign up for a gym membership, and not worry about when you have to pay your dues. The credit card company and the publisher of gym handles the transaction for you. But when you're in your early 20s, your preferences are going to change. So trust me on this, you're better paying off something other way and ending up in recurring fees that you don't forget and have a hard time getting rid of. Yes. Number 13, carry cash. It can be quite tricky, but it's always useful to have some cash on you, because you don't want to be fully dependent on your credit card for some quickie, cheapy things. You don't want to use your credit card every time for when shopping for lunch, or when shopping for, or when doing your groceries. Well, it's some people do it, but yeah, you want to spend your own cash on your essential living essential livings, exactly, because credit card is always a form of a rescue solution here, so you don't want to use it very often. So cash is always better. Number 14, stay away from cash advances. If you're short on money and you need temporary fix, pulling cash from your credit card is one of the most expensive borrowing option. That's because the credit card company will start charging you interest the second it hits your hand, and the rate is usually higher than what you would pay for purchases. If you can't pay it right back, that short-term solution can become a long-term financial problem. So stay away from cash advances, and the interest rates for cash advances are normally above 20 or 22%. Number 15, pay careful attention to promotional offers. Credit card companies use promotional offers to bring in a new customer. They can be beneficial, but only if you're diligent about the terms being offered. If you're looking for a student or a traditional card that offers a 0% interest, you absolutely have to be aware of when the regular rate kicks in and how much it will be. Otherwise, you could be in for a rude awakening when you get that first monthly statement after the promo period. So there are some promotions that normal regular card holders used to get, is called a balance transfer. That's a good deal, but that's only for balance transfers, and they are usually valid for a year or a year and a half. But in this case, when it comes to a student card, the companies are just looking to bring in new customers and making money on their own, but they're not looking at how it might disadvantage you in the future. So be aware when you are promoted any financial assistance through the means of credit cards. Number 16, know your limits. Running up your balance close to your total credit limit can be a bad news for your credit score and could cause lenders to look on you unfavorably. Generally, you should aim to only use about 40% of your available credit at any given time. The closer you are to your limit, the less credit worthy you are likely to appear. And this can hurt your ability to be approved for new loans. So stay within your limits. Don't use all your credits. Like if you have a card for $5,000, don't have a balance of 4,800, because that's not very positive for you in terms of your credit portfolio, and also your credit score is going to be affected severely in this case. Number 17, don't get hit with a penalty. Credit card companies can penalize you if you're not being careful about how you manage your account. If you miss a payment, go over your credit limit, or your check bounce, you will not only have to pay a fee, but your interest rates may be increased substantially. When your rate goes up, it can be more difficult to get the balance paid down. So you have to be aware of this. The best here would be to use your card only when you need it and pay it back off once your paycheck comes in. So yeah, being aware of your limit, your spendings, and refraining from luxury spending or unnecessary spending is the key for success. Number 18, watch out for gray charges. Gray charges are one of those things that can creep you if you're not paying attention. These charges are usually small, but if you're getting hit with them over and over again, they can end up costing a lot. Gray charges can include hidden fees, add-on charges for services, and recurring charges that you don't authorize. Number 19 is don't let your card feed your impulse buying habit. So if you can't wait at a register without buying a stick of gum, or if you can't walk into a store without buying anything, you do not use your first credit card as a crutch to feed your bad shopping habits. A credit card should be used as a resource to track your expenses, be organized, and reap some rewards for everyday shopping. It shouldn't be an excuse to buy more that you can afford or get a temporary shopping thrill. The quick decision at the register can have a long-lasting feeling of dread and frustration that when bill comes in. Okay, guys, so we've been through all the different tips that actually help you out in managing your credit card, especially when it comes to your first credit card. Because most people, the mistake they make is they think credit card is cash given to them, which is wrong. But being young, and since it's your first credit card, and also being in that teenage period, and or even the early 20s, it's very tempting. It is very tempting, especially if you don't have a job and you're with your friends and looking to have some fun. That's when things start to get very unlucky, and yeah, because the impulse of buying habit and the pressure from your friends, that what causes your financial portfolio to get and collect dirt over time. So thank you for watching, guys. So I hope you kind of get an idea of how to manage your credit card, especially if it's your first one. Or this could also be some sort of information for people who are looking to rebuild their credit. So stay tuned for the next episode, for my next video, because there I will be covering secured credit cards, because secured credit cards are a mean for people to rebuild their credit if they don't have a good one.